This episode of TRS is brought to you by Verizon 4G LTE, the largest, most advanced 4G network in the world. Today on TRS, we check out Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale in their new movie, The Fighter.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Totally Rad Show. For today, Monday, December 13th, we've got a great week. Today, we're going to be talking about The Fighter, which is not Darren Aronofsky,
David O. Russell.
David O. Russell. See, sort of sounds like Darren Aronofsky, kind of the same vibe-ish every once in a while. So we're going to be talking about that today. Tomorrow, Reebok is sponsoring the show with their new crazy shoes.
Yeah.
With a Z-Tech. And so we're going to see a whole
them.
big thing on you finally telling everybody about the marathon in a sort of more in-depth way. Which
Exactly.
is cool.
And then Wednesday, of course, we've all been playing WoW Cataclysm. We're going to talk about that in depth.
Yes, that's the heroin that runs through our veins.
Indeed.
And Thursday, it is here. 3 years of anticipation in the making. Tron.
What?
Our review of Tron.
Not just 3 years anticipation, more like 15 or 25.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
his
actually, almost
starting
30 for
talking
me.
about
No,
it
but
with
the Comic-Con
the
anticipation.
crazy Comic-Con.
And then on Friday, we're once again doing Media Mashup.
Booyah.
And because we were talking about Tron, Evan Kang sent us in this cool Tron background. That's so awesome,
Yeah,
like our
super
logo.
cool.
Super cool. So
Good
you'll be seeing that a
desktop,
lot
good
this
tech,
weekend.
good
But I
desktop.
think on Wednesday you might be seeing a different background.
Oh, maybe some sort of wing layer came to... What?
Today in movies, we are talking about The Fighter, which is interesting because last week we reviewed Darren Aronofsky's The Black Swan.
And Darren Aronofsky and David O. Russell sound a lot alike. Well, as we saw in the opening of this show.
Interestingly enough, The Fighter was the movie Darren Aronofsky was going to do, and he chose The Black Swan instead.
Because he's a dancer, not a fighter.
Because he's a dancer, not a fighter.
Interesting.
So David O. Russell, who we know and love from movies like Flirting with Disaster and Three Kings, reteams with the star of Three Kings, Mark Wahlberg, to make this is basically a biopic about Mark Wahlberg plays the Irish boxer Mickey Ward and his rise to become a professional boxer, being trained by his brother Dickie, played by Christian Bale, and involves a lot of their family, which is. The mother of which is Melissa Leo, and Amy Adams plays his girlfriend. I'm mentioning all these names because every single one of these people has been nominated for an Academy Award somewhat recently.
What was Melissa Leo up for?
Frozen.
Oh, she was the one from Frozen Winter or Broken Winter, Winterbone?
No, the Winter's Bone is this year.
Something
Frozen
like whatever.
Lake or some
Yeah,
stuff.
Swan
Okay.
Frozen.
Alex.
Yes, Dan.
A lot of Oscar nominees last year. I'm sorry, in the cast.
Yes.
This time around, what do you think?
I think for me, this movie, there's one role that screams Oscar, not only nomination, my opinion, winner, and that's Christian Bale. It is shock. Christian Bale has this history of going through severe physical transformations in order to portray certain characters, with The Machinist as being one of the really prime examples of him losing a lot of weight, dangerously a lot of weight. And this sort of was like, he's back to doing his own thing. But the acting that he brings in conjunction with his physical transformation is mind-blowing. And it is extremely mind-blowing, especially when you finally, in the credits, see a moment of video from the actual brother, and you just, it is Academy Award written all over it. Amazing. The movie itself was also very, very, very good when it wasn't actually showing the boxing. In my opinion, some of the worst boxing execution ever. Every punch looked fake. Never felt like anything was being hit. You think of movies like Rocky and things where every punch is visceral and you feel like you're right there. They did some really cool stuff with shooting it on video, so it felt like you were sort of watching an HBO version of
It
boxing.
actually was all those. They just shot an HBO thing. Like it
Jim
was.
Lampley. And,
Yeah.
It was the production team that shot all the HBO stuff.
Yeah, but it's still very filmized. I mean, the cameras were at places that the camera wouldn't have been able to be.
There's this one
in-
sequence that is that way, but the
the
others-
whole end is like they're in the boxing ring looking at Dickie in the corner. That's not how you shoot from HBO. But I appreciated that authenticity and that it brought a cool vibe to it. But the boxing was fail, in my opinion, of the shooting of the boxing, and I know some people will probably disagree with that. I've heard people disagreeing with that in other screenings. But I think that the movie isn't really about boxing. The movie is really about rising above a family that is trying to pull you down, but not for any sort of malicious ways, but just because some families are sort of rolled up into this family politics. And that, I think, is where this movie shines. I think it's a great movie. I just was really disappointed that the fighting, this movie could have been a better movie if there wasn't a single punch thrown. It would be just as good, in my opinion.
I actually agree with you point by point. Everything you said, I completely agree. I do not think this is a great boxing movie. I do think it's a great movie, and it's a great character movie. And I also agree with you about Christian Bale, his transformatory, brilliant, wonderful performance that makes you care about this guy. The movie is a very it teases you into thinking it's about one thing, and then it kind of becomes this redemptive story. And it felt at the beginning like it could be very trite and predictable in what's going to happen with these two guys. And one character's decision to align himself with his brother is really turns the movie in a different direction, really makes it stirring and emotional for me. I also loved how, I think Amy Adams' performance is wonderful, and I actually really liked Mark Wahlberg too. And I think that what I love about the message of this movie is how it's about how this wonderful, proud, courageous woman is behind this man. Like she is the rock in his life, and I loved that message, and I loved the way that they made that, and like her strength in these quiet moments was really impressive. But I agree with you that as a boxing film, it really fails, and I think a lot of that also has to do with sound design, because the sound of the punches felt very fake to me, and very amped up and hyper real. But beautifully shot and beautifully realized, and plot twists and turns that I didn't see coming. I was very emotionally moved by the movie, and
the end little sequence with Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg, the sort of video thing, I was like, I literally was like, here's the Oscar, Christian Bale. I mean, it was like...
And I knew that, I'm sorry, real quick, I knew this, I'd watched all three of his Gotti fights.
really?
Real life,
Growing
yeah.
up? Well, I mean,
As they happened.
Yeah. Interesting.
I knew of him before, and I didn't actually, when I went into the movie, I didn't know that it was about that boxer until a little ways into it, and I was like, I know this guy.
That's cool.
funny.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you guys in that.
It's
First
good.
of all,
You can.
I love The Fighter. It's one of my favorite movies, potentially my favorite movie of the year. We'll see.
I also
in a couple
loved
weeks.
it.
It was good. Not my favorite,
I think
but-
it is one of the best boxing movies. I think somebody out there likes me. Rocky #1 and The Fighter.
Diggstown. Great,
I'm
great
not
boxing
into
movie.
Power of One, also good. Not, but this I'm telling you, I love the Power of One.
No,
John G.
hey.
Avildsen, director of
I hear
Karate
you, I hear
Kid,
you.
and Rocky. Anyway, sorry. So I thought the boxing was spectacular. I loved the HBO style sequences. I didn't like, interestingly enough, the more cinematic boxing sequences. Those were the weakest to me. But what is exciting, and you mentioned hyperreality, is that there's the way that this movie is directed is sometimes very stylish in a way that a Martin Scorsese film feels stylish. It's a lot like a Scorsese movie in that there's moments that are very stylish in the camera work, and then there's moments that are completely grounded in reality. And to pull that off, I mentioned that in our review of Fair Game, is very, very challenging and awesome to see realized. And it makes it so much more kinetic and exciting to watch. In addition to that, I agree, Christian Bale is the uncanny valley of acting, in that if you look at, this is sort of an unfair comparison, but you look at performances like Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks' Forrest Gump, that do a very affected character, in a very broad way. and Christian and this performance and the performances I think in movies have gone more realistic, where the things that they change about their mannerisms and the way they do are like appear random, and like in real life when someone has afflictions or unique mannerisms, they're random things that have they're random things that make sense when you know what's wrong with them, but they're not like, they don't just change. They talk like Forrest Gump. He talks slower and he says simple words. Christian Bale changes like multifaceted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially like Alex said, it's wonderful that they show in the credits. I always want that when it's based on a true story. I always want to see the real people.
But this is even better than like the pictures, because you actually see, and then you get to see they are those characters. Like you see the fight, actual Mickey Ward kind of giving that Mark Wahlberg smile that he was doing throughout the thing, the sort of like, this is just my brother, let him do his thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you see those
Very
moments
powerful.
and you go, wow, those are the guys. Like it's really.
we should
Also-
also know the mom is spectacular.
spectacular.
All of the sisters.
All the sisters are great. Must have been
Amazing.
cast like real people.
A couple
from
of
that
them were. A
area.
couple of them were the same actresses, or the same actress that was in Gone Baby Gone.
Yeah.
Also
I recognized
shot in
her,
the
too.
yeah.
I did not
What's
actually like the Amy Adams. I didn't think she did very well because she kept
I
sort
think
of
she was
falling
great.
in and out of the Boston accent is so specific, or that sort of New Englandy accent. When you fall in and out of it, it really pulls me out. So I didn't and she was just okay.
I just want to say that what this movie was going to be with Darren Aronofsky was not what David O. Russell brought
Right.
with it. When he came on board, he made the script much more about the women. And after meeting all the women, he included their story. And
think
this
that's
movie
important.
is all about him and those women. And
Yeah.
it's so, because it's such a unique, specific, like it doesn't go through the common tropes of a biopic story.
Right.
Because it really focuses on what's weird about their family. It becomes a really interesting biopic, and not the typical fare.
So Mark Wahlberg, David O. Russell, do you think Uncharted?
For Uncharted? No, I'm not. I mean, if we want to go into that, the thing with Uncharted, David O. Russell is directing, and Mark Wahlberg is starring,
Yep.
and allegedly Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci are going to be playing his father and uncle
Right.
in a story about art thieves.
Right.
Not don't
anything to do
tell
with
me
the
about
video
Uncharted. You pitch me that, I'm like, well, that sounds like an awesome movie.
Yeah.
You tell me it's for Uncharted, and I go, why?
Right.
Uncharted has such an already interesting take on a rare genre. We don't get to see an adventure film too often, and I feel like Uncharted does that really well.
Yeah.
And the sense of humor of that main character is not Mark Wahlberg's comedic sensibilities.
No,
Mark
not at
Wahlberg's
all.
very good at making fun of himself.
He's not Harrison
comedically,
Ford.
but he's not Ryan Reynolds or Nathan Fillion or like.
Yeah.
Right?
See.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, remember to stick around for this day in rad history, but we do want to thank our sponsor, Verizon 4G LTE has reduced lag time, providing real-time responsiveness. I've been wanting to try a 4G
too.
service for a very, very long time. Experience video conferencing without jitter or stuttering, just like that. Stream videos.
Look at you with your Freudian slip.
I do a little bit. Stream videos without annoying buffering, play multiplayer online action games like never done before. So Verizon 4G LTE is up to 10 times faster than 3G. I remember making the switch from Edge to 3G.
Oh, it's life-changing.
Mind-blowing. 3G to 4G, double brain blow, which I'm
Computer
very excited. Download songs in 4 seconds, upload
Whoa.
photos in 6 seconds.
That's so much
You could
less seconds than I usually do.
Upload a 10 megabyte PowerPoint presentation in less than 25 seconds.
That's awesome.
Amazing. The Verizon 4G LTE provides a wireless option for previously wired world. Untether your wired networks, my friends. Enhanced security let you tap into the most VPN networks with no waiting, wireless video conferencing in real time.
My
It's really
favorite
cool
part is
stuff.
that there's no stuttering.
Freudian, I think. With that.
Freudian.
All right, people, we will see you tomorrow.
Be sure to check out tomorrow's show where Jeff talks about training for the marathon.
So today is December 13th, and on this day in rad history, in 1985, the movie Clue was released. One of your favorite movies of all
Still
times.
is one of my favorite movies of all time.
One of my
Flames,
favorite
the sun on my face.
not backgrounds,
Intros,
intros,
old school.
old school intros that we did.
Quite a unique. There is yet to be another movie like it, really. It has
Well,
a
I
mind
watched-
of its
Murder
own.
by Death is
I watched
exactly like it. but
And
it
an
was-
Well,
awful movie that was trying to be like it called Operation Endgame. That is awful.
A comedy, though?
It tried to be a comedy, violent murder comedy. Awful.
Well, thank you, Alexandre Bibu, for sending that in. I tried to do my best French accent because I believe that's a French name.